the Intuit Dome had quite a bit of funny little gimmicks. Of course, they have the wall, and the wall is something serious. What did the Suns shoot from the free throw line in this game? There was a stretch where the Suns missed, it felt like 4 or 5 consecutive free throws. 73%. All right, they must have locked in at the end. But there was for most of this game, they were in the 60s from the free throw line. The wall might be something serious, guys. I mean, it's a sick looking arena. The scoreboard is just unbelievable. Unbelievable. I mean, look at this thing. I truthfully feel the Cowboys Stadium is similar. If you've ever been to a Cowboys game, you know what I'm talking about, where it is unquestionably distracting with how big it is. It's hard to keep your eyes off of it. This is a similar type of ordeal here. No matter where you are in the arena, you can look up and you get a sick view of this little, what would you even call this? Jumbo circle, it's a circle screen. I mean, it's not really a jumbotron. Here's a clip of the wall right here. Obviously the gimmick here, in case you're unaware, Steve Ballmer wants to build this sort of college atmosphere, sort of European football atmosphere at these Clippers games. It's a little bit unfortunate that their roster is decimated and they're probably not going to be good this season. But they track how loud you've been. They tracked how often you're on your feet. And apparently you get rewarded if you're a really hype fan, and you get punished if you're a quiet fan. I don't know how that works. I said it would be interesting. My big idea for Steve Ballmer, if you want the wall, which is directly behind the basket that the Suns, or the opposing team, will shoot at in the second half. But you want to really raise the stakes, and you want people in the wall to be bought in, locked in, cheering, loud, proud, and rowdy. Here's what you do. You build the trap door underneath their seats, and you straight up tell them, if the Clippers lose this game, the trap door opens, and we're not telling you where you end up. He's one of the richest people in the world, folks. He can figure it out. He can figure out the legalities. Okay? That's not a problem. Alex with the $2. Personally, I got the Mavs going at 82-0. It's possible, man. It really is. They haven't lost yet. So, they're the 82ths of the way there. Yeah, they need to add some flares. I don't think that would fly in American sports, though. The flares that you see in the European basketball games and shit. How is that healthy? I mean, there's got to be cancer. I mean, that just has to be cancer entering your body immediately, right? I'd have to imagine. But Kevin Durant did have an interesting quote after the game where he basically said it was cool. It was kind of tough to play against. Again, it's unfortunate that this team's probably not going to be uber competitive this season, because this type of atmosphere in a postseason setting would be unbelievable. But maybe. I joked around earlier at the top of the stream that, James Harden was just living his best life. James Harden was living his best life last night. He's just this kind of low-risk team. He's living in Los Angeles where he wanted to be. And just the ball's in his hands every single time down the court. Just living his dream. Kevin Durant, I'm playing at Intuit Dome. Incredible. I loved it. I absolutely love the wall they got. It's insane. Steve is doing a great job with this franchise. He compared it to Oklahoma State. I mean, when you see it, I would love to go in person. When you see it on the screen, it is. The way that the arena is built, it's built upwards. The seats are built upwards. It's not like you have a row, it kind of goes back, a section, it kind of goes back, and then on top of it, you have a section that kind of goes back. Then on top of that, you have a section that kind of goes back. It's just built upwards. So it feels like the fans are kind of directly over you. Looks sick. But let's talk about this game, though, because this was maybe the best and most entertaining game of the night, and some interesting storylines as well in this game. The Suns We're excited to see how this Suns teams look. They've all last year was a disappointment early on in the offseason. They had a great offseason, but people were hesitant. But as we've gotten closer to the season starting, and ultimately the start of the season, people have really started to buy in on this Suns team and really starting to hype and gas them up as a team that can be dangerous in the Western Conference. And I do think that they could be dangerous in the Western Conference. New look offense with Budenholzer. And right off the rip, I got to say, I thought they played pretty well. Tyus Jones, I thought, had a really nice game. And you can just see immediately how him being on the court is going to help out this offense tremendously, right? Let him handle the playmaking duties. Let him create. Now, the interesting part of that, though, is I think defenses are going to be okay with him trying to create offense for himself and scoring, which is why you saw Kevin Durant, who did finish this game with 17 shots, but for a huge chunk of this game, felt like he was not really involved at all. Devin Booker fouled out of this game, only got 32 minutes, attempted 9 shots. So that's just interesting to watch. Early season offensive stuff. I mentioned this yesterday when we talked about the Knicks. Early season offensive stuff. Early season offensive stuff you kind of have to throw out the window. These things take some time to gel. And I do think there will be a time when these guys are clicking. Another team, the Suns, they didn't get to 43s. They were well on their way to 43s. But then when crunch time came around, this will be the interesting subplot of the season. When teams like, we're going to get to 43s. We're going to get to 43s. That's what we want. We want to shoot 43s tonight. That's what the analytics say we need to do. When it gets to the fourth quarter and crunch time, and it's like, okay, maybe not. Kevin Durant, can you please hit tough-ass jumper after tough-ass jumper to save us? Which he did. That shot that he hit to tie the game, oh my God, what a tough bucket. Just a tough-ass shot by Kevin Durant to send that game to overtime. It was good help, too. I'm going to go back and look at it. I'm trying to remember who it was that helped, but it was good help. Just an unbelievably difficult basket. And they got big shot after big shot. It's an encouraging sign if you're a fan of the Suns, because this was shockingly one of the worst clutch teams in the NBA last season, and they were hitting clutch shot after clutch shot. Now, and also their defense was ramping up. It benefited them that James Harden just completely shit all over himself at the end of this game. I mean, we were joking in the stream. We were going down with this ship. Harden was like a drunk captain steering the ship into the iceberg. Just taking so much water. Turnover, terrible shot, 33-foot bomb for no reason. But he did make plays when it mattered most, and in overtime he tried to will them to a win. He made plays, I would say, from about the 8-minute to 2-minute mark in the fourth quarter. It was a James Harden disaster. And then the last 2 minutes to get the game to overtime, he played pretty well. The third quarter for him was great. 28 shots, 10 of 28. Again, I think he's living his best life. I think this is a dream for him. 8 assists, 8 turnovers, 29 points. I know I said you kind of have to toss away some of these early season offensive things for these teams because these things will change. It'll be more smooth. I will say the 2-man game between Zubac and Harden is serious. I said that before the season started. It's going to be one of the most efficient plays in the league. At the end of the season, when we look at efficiency numbers, you can look at pick-and-roll duos and stuff like that. Zubac and Harden will be towards the top of that list. Zubac had 21 points. He's got that lethal little hook shot. I mean, Harden, of course, is a pick-and-roll maestro. So those two will play well alongside one another. But outside of that, especially if Kawhi is out and he's going to miss several weeks at this point, this is going to be a bad offense, man. Just no two ways around it. They're good defensively. We saw Derrick Jones Jr., who had a good game in this, obviously former Maverick legend. He played really well. He played some really, really good defense on Kevin Durant as well, as good a defense as you could hope for. It's just offensively, it's going to be a struggle for this team at time. Norman Powell was inefficient last night, 5 of 16. For him, it's really just the playmaking for others isn't really there You know, he can hit some tough shots and he can pull some shit out of his ass from time to time. But really, Kevin Porter Jr. was awful last night. I mean, you hate to see it, right? But Kevin Porter Jr. sucked last night, and they actually need him to be good. Like this isn't a Kevin Porter. Hopefully he's all right. Like we got him for nothing. It's a low risk. They actually need him to be really good basketball player this year to achieve things because offensively, it can just be a little bit rough. They were 27% from three. They turned the ball over 21 times. The Suns turned the ball over 22 times. It was rough for the Suns at times as well, offensively. A lot of that was the Clippers' defense. They're going to be a good defensive unit. Bradley Beal, I thought, played really well. 8 of 12, 24 points. Played his role perfectly. Hit some really big shots down the stretch of this game. So if he's bought into a role like that, and yeah, that's somebody in the chat just made a really good point that watching that Clippers game. I mean, Amir Coffey was hitting some Mickey Mouse ass shots in this game as well. So even then, even with 113 points and kind of an inefficient offense, they were hitting some very, very difficult shots as well, which I think is a little concerning, only because if the offense looked like it struggled that much at times, and we still had some very difficult makes, what does this mean moving forward? We shall see. I'm not high on this team, obviously. They need Kawhi Leonard back, but they need Kawhi Leonard of 2019 back. And guess what? He ain't walking through that door.